Hello and welcome to How to Deal When the Shit Gets Real podcast. I'm Rietta.
And I'm Connie. And today we are two crazy cousins here with retired Marine Sergeant John Peck. So, how do you deal when shit gets real, John? Yeah? Yeah? That's going to be like my new catchphrase.
I think he's laughing at us.
Thank you. Thanks, John. We're not that funny, okay?
How do you guys keep a straight face while saying that intro?
Are you saying our intro is bad?
Because we've done it. We've done it 50 times. Maybe that's why. 51. Actually, this is 51.
51 times.
Mm-hmm.
Are you lucky?
Oh God. I don't think I could have gotten that out without keeping a straight face.
So we're going to cut this part.
Oh, so even though Connie already said, how do you deal when the shit gets real? We're just going to say, John, tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us a little intro so people know who you are.
All right. Have you read or heard of Dr. Frankenstein's monster?
Of course.
Yeah, well, I'm a modern day version of Dr. Frankenstein's monster. I've got some other dude's arms attached to me. I lost I'm a Marine, and I enlisted in 2005, and I was deployed to Al Anbar, Iraq in 2007, and I got injured in Iraq, and I lost 21 years of 2007, 20 years. Sorry, I didn't turn 21 yet. I lost 20 years of my memory, along with balance issues, some hearing issues, and some speech issues. I still have problems recalling certain words, so I immediately have to become a thesaurus sometimes, which is great. Thankfully, I don't have legs anymore, so I don't really have to worry about balance anymore. And then in 2009, I reenlisted, and in 2010, we went to Helmand in Afghanistan, and I got blown up again. This time, I was walking around using a metal detector, and we went into a compound, and I was the first in, and started sweeping around for IEDs and stuff like that. As I went in, my guys followed me and cleared in, and cleared up to each individual room. Guys entered the rooms. They didn't find anything at first. In one of the rooms, they found a car battery and some wires. And then I went into their little bathroom area, into their little 3-foot high storage area, and everything looked clear. And then I went to go tell my sergeant I was going to hold security outside. And next thing I know, I took a step forward, and I was being blasted through the air, and immediately became a triple amputee. I lost my right arm above the elbow. Lost both my legs. I think one of them was above the knee. I'm not really sure. I know this. I know that this sounds like the story changes every time. I'm just not really sure about the details, but I know that I immediately lost both my legs. My left arm was there, but it had what's called a degloving incident. So the flesh was kind of pulled away from all the wonderful stuff inside of there. I also caught a flesh-eating fungus that got into my abdominal and into my bloodstream. So it ate the first layer of my abdominal muscle, and it ate my left leg all the way up to my hip. So I have half my butt cheek now, which is great. I got squishy butt. And then my left arm had to be amputated because when I got to Walter Reed, basically it was dead. So my left arm was amputated mid-forearm. Fun fact, 2 days before my Afghan deployment, my uncle died. He was basically like my father figure, but I wasn't able to make it to his funeral because of the short time. And then one of the times that I like flatlined or died, I swear I saw him. It was like kind of like this, like my last like goodbye. Like I got to say goodbye to him and everything. Um,
It's crazy how the universe is sometimes. Like something like that gets played out to you in such a crazy situation, and though everything is happening, you still just happen to see your uncle. I mean, I think that's so cool. I mean,
uh, oh yeah, I mean he was basically my only father figure. Like I didn't really know my father or anything like that. So he was like the only one that I really looked up to. And I mean, he was a Marine himself, but I mean, he was going through, he had he had alcohol and drug problems, but he kept it away from me. Like I didn't know any of this, and he got over it. Like he found God and all this stuff, and uh, yeah, he changed his life around. And but he never, I never saw that side of him. Like I never saw him using drugs, and I never saw him, becoming like drinking or anything like that. So, but yeah, and then I did a whole bunch of prosthetic stuff, and I didn't really like, trying to scratch my nose with the metal hook, or trying to scratch my chest with metal parts. Wasn't really comfortable, and I decided I wanted to be a real boy, and found some doctors up in Boston, and they were like, "Yeah, we can make you a real boy again." No, I think it was 2013. Um, I was doing some research because I found out about a guy in Spain who received double leg transplant. Unfortunately, he had to get them re-amputated because he had cancer.
oof.
Um,
Oh no.
so I was doing some research, and so I typed in like double leg transplant, and up came Boston, or Brigham and Women in Boston. They were looking for recipients or possible candidates. So I immediately like blew up their email and everything like that, and I like sent them pictures and sent them my story, like, this is who I am, blah blah blah. And it was near like Thanksgiving and Christmas, and they said, hey, our staff, our doctors are going home to their families and everything like that, so why don't we get you in 2014. And I went up there for January, and I went through all the testing, through all the psychological exams and all that stuff. Somehow I did great as a crayon eater, and they're like, you did great. you know they ran me through a whole panel of testing. They tested my blood, tested my antibodies, make sure like I didn't have any kind of weird stuff going on with like any of the shots that we received in the Marines, or any like no weird like yellow fever or anthrax, or any of that, or the, what was it, the aspergillus, the flesh-eating fungus wasn't still there.
Yeah, I was going to ask
um,
about that if that was a factor. So they did make sure that it wasn't there.
yeah, they have to make sure, like, because with that stuff, like, they do have to line up. Like, there was a recent case, or not a recent case, but there was a recent transplant actually just happened, I think in and New York, the very first ever, a double hand and a face transplant. And I can't
Wow.
remember what it is, what the acronym is, but basically this guy had a 6% chance of finding a donor. And it's
Wow.
probably because of his, not only like like all these other factors, but probably because of like all the other stuff that he had going on. But like he probably had some weird antibodies.
That's crazy.
So that's something that they take into, like, everything has to line up,
Which makes
including
sense.
age. Not age is age is on a spectrum. Like it's like
Yeah, like a window, like
It has to
25
be
to
like
45 or
close.
something.
mine was, I think, I forget, it was like, I think like 16 to like 40, I think, for me, I think.
Okay.
And
Yes.
I think I was like right around 30 at that time. But yeah, so yeah, I got somebody else's arms attached to me in August of 2016. Almost 2 years of waiting.
It's crazy. It's a
Yup.
unique story. Connie, why don't you go ahead with one of your questions first, and then we'll kind of do a back
Bounce
and
back and
forth.
forth.
And we'll
Sounds
try
good.
not to overwhelm John too much with our crazy questions.
John, I think it's crazy how blasé you're about it. Like, oh, and then I wanted to be a real boy. It's super funny. And that being said, how do you keep a like positive attitude when you were going through everything? Did you still have that positive attitude, or was it more difficult? Tell us about
Um,
your attitude and how you stay so positive.
no, so like, my attitude does change. I do have down days, I really do. And there are days like not to like sugarcoat this. Like I don't like these guys that are just going around like, oh, look at me, I'm so positive. Like that's just
Bullshit.
I was where I say like, am I allowed to swear? Because like I
Yeah,
Oh,
don't want
absolutely.
we swear
like
all the time.
okay, because
We
like
keep it real.
these guys that go out there and they just like sit there and be like, oh well, look at me, like, I'm always in a positive mood. Like they're full of crap. Like shut up. When I first woke up, like I was fine, and then I received like more and more, and then I was also married at that time, and I found out that she was sexting another dude while I was in a coma. She tried pulling the plug on me,
Jesus.
and then so like multiple layers on top of my injury like sent me into a downward spiral. And then I started coming up with a plan of like committing suicide. And like, so here's you got this dude without arms and legs. Like how are you going to commit suicide? And it was a legit plan. Like there was a door, there was a flight of stairs. I was gonna throw myself down the flight of stairs, and if that didn't do it, a 350-pound wheelchair was gonna land on top of me. Like it was a legit plan. I mean, not to like go down like a dark alley, but this was a legit plan. And I mean, it was a dark time. And I mean, I talk about it though. I mean, I don't hold this shit back because, and I tell people like, it's fine if you kind of like put your demons away into like this little box for a little bit, but I don't like these guys who are just like, just keep swallowing your demons. Just don't ever deal with them. I personally don't think that's the way to deal with this stuff. Like you do have to kind of eventually like I guess I do think that you do eventually have to kind of combat them and do kind of have to deal with them eventually. Like you do have to deal with that darker side and be like, that shit sucked.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm. I
what
can't
she
even
did to me.
imagine.
Go ahead.
I was just saying I can't even imagine the thoughts and the things that you went through.
Yeah.
I mean, I was typing in, how do I find a mechanic? And they're like, what the fuck are you typing? I'm like, oh no, I didn't mean that mechanic. I meant like, how do I find a hitman? Sorry. Like, oh, you're okay. We're just gonna leave you alone. Like,
So
she has a life insurance plan too through the military for $100,000. I'll give it to you all. Just make her disappear. But yeah.
I don't know how
Uh,
anybody could be that low and could like when you're already at this point think like, oh well, I'm just gonna add cheating on him on top of it. No big deal.
it's horrible.
so like to expand on that though, I actually created a bucket list before I went through my arm transplant because like I started calculating all math and me are kind of like friends. I actually calculated the percentage of me winning the next Food Network star, and I can't remember the number now, but it was ridiculously low. Um, but so I wanted to do a lot of things. And one of them was forgive the person who hurt you the most, and it was her. So I wrote her a message and I was like, look, like I need to talk to you. And I was like, I need to forgive you. And she's like, what the hell is going on? I was like, I don't know if you heard, but I'm getting an arm transplant. She's like, yeah, I heard, me and this other girl have been talking, blah, blah, blah. I was like, well, what the hell happened? She's like, you need to understand, like, I'm not trying to make excuses, but like they kept bringing me papers for me to sign to have more and more of your legs chopped off. I'm like, okay, I understand that that's psychologically hard, but that doesn't mean you go and you find another fuck boy to go suck up on his dick and be like, I can't wait to get home to you. Oh, I'm gonna go sign a piece of paper to go have my husband's legs chopped off. or, oh, I'm gonna go spend X amount of dollars on a coach purse now. Like that's, oh, my husband's waking up from his coma. Oh, I'm not gonna be there because I'm too busy tanning or at the gym. Like that's not who you are. Like that's not like what you should do.
Right.
That's just me though.
No, I agree with you. That's definitely. I mean, I can't imagine what she was going through either. I'm sure it was really hard, but like you said, it's definitely not an excuse to be like, I'm gonna go tan and not be here.
But we eventually talked about it and we got over it. So
Well, that's really
uh,
big of you. I honestly don't know if I could do that.
it took a while though. It took a lot of
Time
conversations. It wasn't just one, it was multiple. I can tell you that.
for sure.
So speaking of your arms, because this is something I've always personally wondered, do you
Uh-oh.
ever wonder about the person whose arms you have?
Oh no. Actually, no, I don't. I know. His dad reached out to me.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Um. So if you actually look up the archived footage of the press conference, um, there's a there was a moment where I actually spoke to the donor, but at that time I didn't know the donor or the family because the family always can remain anonymous. They have a
Right.
choice to come forward or remain anonymous. Um, and at that time, they decided to remain anonymous. And we, as the recipient, have a way to write them a letter. But like, how do you write a letter to somebody that you have no face?
Mm-hmm.
You just have their arms. So I was trying to think of like, what do I say to this person? But we have to like write the letter and then send it to the like the organ bank and all that stuff. So I I can't remember what I said, but something like in my speech at my press conference like made his father like want to come forward and everything. And his son was had a rare disease and it caused like, did you ever see like Good Doctor?
No, I've never watched it, but Connie, I think you do, right?
Nope.
Oh,
Sorry.
Oh,
I'm wrong. Sorry.
Tried, you
so,
failed. Moving on.
so his son had very like his son's name was Chris and he had like high functioning autism.
Okay.
And by the age of 5 he was playing Beethoven on the piano. 7 he
Wow.
was playing Aerosmith on the guitar.
Wow.
uh his father didn't need to bring a GPS or a bus map. He could memorize anything.
Wow.
um have you ever seen do you guys ever see the video of like the guy like going up to like the Empire State Building once and then coming down and like painting the New York skyline by hand? He could basically do that just by like sitting up there for an hour. Like,
I haven't seen that, but I did see the movie about the two twin women that have autism, and there's a name for it, and I can't remember the name for it, but there is something they have a name for it of what that is, what their ability to memorize like that is.
I think those two women, those are the women that can remember like the music stuff, right?
Yeah, they know everything about music. They knew everything about like Dick Clark. They love
Yep.
Dick Clark. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, he could remember like stuff like that. But yeah,
I
he
think
was
they're
also
called
very,
like Saviance or something like that.
yes. But yeah, he was extremely kind, and then he was also extremely helpful. But I can't remember, but I think it was like on their 15th wedding anniversary, they moved away to New Mexico, and then he decided to stay in that area, but at like a long-term living facility because he still needed some kind of assistance.
Mm-hmm.
He told his aide that he wasn't feeling well, and oh, another condition was he also had seizures or strokes. I cannot remember. And partial blindness. But he told his aide that night that he wasn't feeling well, and he actually had a brain aneurysm that night.
Oh my
And
goodness.
yeah, he on his parents' 15th wedding anniversary, they got the news and everything, and that he was like pronounced brain dead and everything. So, but yeah, his dad reached out to me, and it was kind of weird. It was just kind of like I received this long Facebook message, and I was kind of like, just like taken back. I'm like, is this is this legit? Like, and we had to go through this like certificate, like not really certification, but like, you know what I mean, like making sure like this guy was like the real deal, like through the organ bank and everything. Like, yep, that's your donor's father. I'm like, okay, that's
That's
cool.
intense.
Yeah. No, Chris is the yeah, I mean, Chris, I mean, I still think about everything. I mean, not as much anymore because it's still like, we do a lot and everything. But yeah,
Hmm.
it's weird.
No, I think it's actually cool that you know about him.
Yeah.
It makes it not so, I don't know, like as
Weird.
anonymous, I guess. Yeah, or weird. Yeah, there you go. Didn't know what word to use.
To me, I would just be like weird, be like, I have these arms, but they're not mine. Whose are they? They could be anybody. It would be like not necessarily weird, but it would be like unknown.
I
Right.
still want to get fingerprinted.
Ooh.
Ooh.
That's
Yeah.
something. I still want to get fingerprinted because I still want to see if like my fingerprints have taken over. If he's
Ooh,
still
that's interesting.
That is
if
interesting.
It's an interesting thought. I would have never been like, hey, maybe my fingerprints are now this guy's fingerprints.
Or maybe
or if
they're
we
mixed together.
Yeah, maybe.
or if
Your
we
DNA has taken over a little bit of his fingerprints.
That's intense.
Yep. Deep thoughts here on the podcast.
Connie, what do you got for John now? Let's keep rolling. Let's keep throwing questions at him, keeping him on his toes.
really
So,
You
no.
heard me.
So, what would your advice be to people trying to overcome severe injuries like yours? Because you've already gone through it. So,
I think remaining like the one thing is you gotta like you gotta laugh at this shit. Like you gotta be honest. Like I think having a great sense of humor is probably like the best thing. Um, the one thing is like a lot of people actually don't like how I laugh at a lot of stuff. Like people find it hard
I
sometimes
feel that.
yeah. They're like, do you ever be serious? I'm like, can you be
No.
serious for a minute? I'm like, is it a minute yet? They're like, so yeah, I mean, a great sense of humor is one thing, but then another thing is your expectations. Like going into the arm transplant, I'm like, all right, so like I knew that there were going to be things that I knew right off the bat that I wasn't going to be able to do. I knew that most likely I wasn't. I mean, I knew right off the bat I was never going to play. Like I knew I wasn't going to ever be able to like pick up like a PS4 controller, something like that. That's what I mean by like don't have like these high expectations. Um, for instance, like Todd Nicely, he's a double hip dysartic, right? Not to be an ass, but he's never gonna run marathon. Like I'm a single hip dysartic with a regular leg. I don't ever walk, and it's just because us hip dysartics, we don't use our prosthetic legs. It's just it's not we hip dysartics because there are a few out there, but I mean it's just we use so much more energy than just the regular person, but then even the regular amputee in general. It's just it requires a lot. So yeah, just I would say, positive energy and then, great sense of humor. And then just trying to maintain your expectations. Because I don't like it when people go out there and be like, well, I'm gonna be doing this, I'm gonna be doing this. And all of a sudden they're like I can't do that. And then you just see their mood. They just go from like being rock stars and they just come crashing down. They're just hard on themselves. It kills their spirit when they're not able to do things. Like even when I was like, I'm gonna become a chef, like I thought maybe I could possibly become a chef like with the arm transplant. I was like, there's a chance. There's possibly a chance. And I knew it was gonna be hard. So like when it hit me that I couldn't, I wasn't like, well, fuck this shit. I'm gonna chop these things off. Like it's pointless.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
definitely wouldn't want to do that.
No.
Not after everything you went through.
No. So yeah, it was just one of those things. Like just maintain your expectations. I gotta trim that nail.
Random thoughts of the day. I need to trim my nail.
It's really long. This is like a crack nail too.
I was like looking at it when you were in the other position. I was like, that one nail is really long.
Yeah.
Connie
like,
bringing
he
out
needs-
the honesty. Like
I am. Yes, I am. I just saw it and it was like the only nail that was really in view. And I'm like, that's a really long nail. I wonder if there's a purpose for that really long nail.
And now we know.
Like, I got this weird, like I've had this rash going. It's nothing like bad. It's just, it's like, it's not really rejection, but basically it's kind of taking over it's not really, it's hard to explain, but it's just this spotty little rash that won't go away.
That's
and
annoying.
Ever since we moved, it's kind of like, they think it's rejection, but they're not sure. They're just like, oh, we're just going to leave it alone. But the reason I haven't trimmed my nails is because some of my nails,
because of the rash.
Yeah, because some of my nails are actually gone. Like I don't have a thumbnail on my left hand.
Oh.
Is that from the explosion?
No, I didn't have hands after the explosion, Rieta.
I know. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
She
I'm
has
sorry.
a bad sense of humor.
I do sometimes. John knows this. John knows I have a bad sense of humor sometimes.
Oh, that was just so boring.
I know.
But then some of them are actually cracking. Like they're actually like cracking right down the middle, so they catch like on fabric.
That's annoying.
Ew.
I'd be ripping those suckers off.
Yeah.
Gross. I said it, but in reality, that's gross too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Rieta, your turn.
Okay.
Thank you. What?
This meeting has been upgraded by the host. Oh snap!
Yeah, I was panic buying because it was like, you have 5 minutes, and I'm like, shit.
Nice one. You gave in, huh?
I don't feel like splicing, and yeah. Anyway, so John knows that I'm going to pump his book for him because
Please
it annoys him. Because it annoys him when I do, and because I loved it. But my question relates to your books. You're just going to have to get over it.
When are you going to make a book about me and Mandy?
Whenever you want. Let me know. We will sit down together and we will make a book.
Based on a true story.
Based on a true fantasy.
Oh, okay. Based on a true fantasy.
So I want to know what, it's a lot to put yourself out there like that and to write a book about your whole story. So what made you finally decide that you wanted to write a book and you wanted to tell people your story?
Well, you wrote one too.
Well, mine's fake. Well, my first one was kind of real, but that's different.
Okay, so you know the process.
But explain it to our listeners, okay?
And the nonfiction process is actually really different than the fiction process. Just like, yeah.
Well, okay, so it sucked. It really sucked. Is this needed? Yeah, it has context. Are you sure? Yeah, it has context later on. You'll just have to read it. Really? That's how it went. It was just it was a lot of that.
But before you got to that process, like what made you even like want to write it? Was it just
I didn't.
I did
not want to write a book. Actually, it just no, I did I don't I do not like the spotlight. Like, I'm a very like,
Yet you're here on our podcast.
I don't mind this. I don't mind this. I don't mind this. This is fine. I don't like going on news. I don't like going on media. I don't like being recognized. You'll notice if when I get recognized, you'll see me going from like, I can't do it right now because of the way I'm laying, but like my shoulders, like my frame is very wide, and not wide isn't like big belly wide, but like the typical Marine, like
That sound
very,
effect was awesome.
Like, my body's like that too. It's
but you know what I'm saying, Rhea? Like the Marine, like the very
Yes.
Marine stance, like very like back straight. You know what I'm talking about.
Connie's brother is actually a Marine too, so she knows what you're laying down.
Okay, then yeah.
Actually, he was in your unit also, so small world.
was he really?
Yes.
Wait, in my
I don't-
unit or actually in my platoon?
Not in your platoon. He was in one.
Okay.
He was in 1-3 or 3-1. 3-1.
Wow. But the minute that they're like, oh, and here's Sergeant John Peck, blah, 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 and it's just like you'll see me go like shrink and shrink and shrink down.
You're like, oh god.
Yeah, it literally is. I'll just go. It's like, am I turtle enough? Turtle.
Must I be here? Oh.
Like I just want to shrink away. Like I do not being recognized. But yeah, the two co-write, well, I guess two, but it was a husband and wife team. Deva came and said, hey, I really wish that we would have wrote that book. And she was like she was talking about it, and she's like, we still could, blah, blah, blah. So we wrote the sample chapters and we submitted to their publisher and everything. And they came back. They said, sure, why not? And I was just like, oh, this really sucks. And I was just like, whatever. And then the whole documentary with the British team happened. And that was just that was weird. That was the most bizarre 4 days of my life. Literally having a camera in your face for like 4 days. It's like, what are you doing today? I'm waking up and I'm brushing my teeth, and then I'm going to go to therapy. Can you leave me alone? No, we need to be there. Okay. What are you going to do after that? I'm going to shower. Can we be there for that? No.
Even
What
I knew
about-
that was a no.
What about when you take a shit? Are they trying to get you on the shitter too?
No.
Okay, well, at least they left you shit. You should just be like, I have to shit again. You have to leave me alone.
But no.
Did you sign up for that documentary?
Yeah, I did. But here's the weird thing. It was very I denied the documentary before the book deal ever happened. And then the book deal happened. I never signed paperwork between my agent, i.e. my co-writer, and I never signed paperwork between me and the publisher.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think. But yet everybody had their hand out and everybody got a cut of this documentary. So we got paid $10,000 by the documentary, and the publishing house got 15% of that. So they got, whatever that was, 1,500. I'm great at math, like I said earlier. And then the co-writers got, I got 60%, and the co-writers got 40% of 8,500. So it's like, okay,
That's crazy.
That is.
right? And
what does the
but yet-
documentary have to do with the book? They're two separate things.
yeah, but it doesn't matter because apparently somewhere I signed away my rights, but yet I didn't sign a contract with the publishing house nor the co-writers.
Did you ask to see show me the contract, please? Show me where I signed.
Anyway, so like I said, it was just, the book was fine. There was a lot of stuff that the co-writers got a little too close to my mother, and they kind of took her side on a lot of things that I really wish that they wouldn't have.
Yeah, I
Hence,
know. I know when I talked to you about it before, you were really upset that they left a lot of parts out about like what your now wife went through.
yeah, and hence the names not being the real names, except
Oh, I
for
didn't know that.
mine. Oh yeah, none of the hence. Do you know Norma? Really, Norma? That's not her real name. It was a play on Norma Bates.
Oh my god, that's funny.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
That's also
Yes.
really creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was and that's not even really how that went down. It was just very like there was a lot, like I said, there was a lot of stuff that was removed just because it was deemed not necessary, no context, or we needed an arc or something like that. At one point they wanted me to start at one point the publishing house wanted me to start doing kind of like a chapter at the end of each chapter, here's what I learned, and I'm like, that's no, we're not doing that. I'm like, no, this is not what we're doing.
That's super weird.
Yeah.
What is it supposed to be for, like school learning or something? Because that's the only thing I could think of that you would need this is what I've learned.
I think it was supposed to. I think they were trying to make it like more of like a motivational, like not like motivational, because not to be like look at me, but like more of like a like super motivational book kind of thing. And it's just, I was just like, I'm not doing that. I'm not. They're like, all right, what did you learn? You know, when you had your dark spot, be like, I learned not to kill myself. They're like, that's n- no. Like, well, you asked me what
You
did I
asked.
learn.
And
Uh,
that's the black and white answer of what I learned.
no, it's just, and then the other thing is like they were supposed to help us with a publisher. The
Mhm.
only reason we got on like Fox and Friends is because of our connections with Jennifer Griffin. That's the only reason we got on there. And then they were supposed to help us with the publisher and getting us on like all of these other like talk shows, and it never happened. And
Which
it's
is
just like,
good because you don't like being on the news anyway. So
but I would have done it to help with like book sales though.
Yeah,
And like,
so that you could actually make some more money out of it. Yeah.
I just had
yeah.
to tease. I just had to tease because you said you didn't like being in the spotlight. So
Oh my god. All right. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah.
Yep, that's Rietta.
Yeah.
Perfect job.
No. No. No, I mean it's fine. I mean, the other thing is though, I put it up front right in the book, like right in the beginning. It says like, look, I'm not here for money. I'm not here for fame. But like, yeah, the extra money does help. But like, let's be serious. Like, this book is, to help people, and like, and I do. I mean, yeah, the messages have stopped, and that's fine. But the thing is though, people did message me and they say, hey, I just want to let you know that this, have helped me one way or another. And if it has helped them, if it helped like one person, 5 people, 10 people,
Then
then
perfect.
that's all I care about.
I loved your book. So just saying.
Because you're a fangirl. I mean,
That's
that's
her middle
really
name.
what you are. I'm gonna change your
No.
name like contacts as fangirl. Like, that's it.
Rietta,
Hey.
fangirl.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's fangirl. I'm a writer, so I appreciate a good book, and I thought it was a great story, and I learned a lot.
Stalker.
He's changing his contact right now.
I'm
Yeah,
not
he
changing.
is.
My hand is right here.
Mm-hmm.
Connie, I want to know the answer to your one question about how he finagled his way back into the service. So you need to ask that question.
So, I mean, she just asked the question, so I guess you could just answer.
There was a lot of back alley deals.
Oh my god.
If only you guys could have seen
I
that.
believe it.
Woo!
Just kidding.
What?
I always knew the military was like that. Just kidding.
I mean,
No.
They
I'm
are the
just
Department of
joking.
the Navy. I mean, just kidding.
Whoa. First off, no. Um, no, I did 2 years. So I got injured in Iraq in 2007, and then I did 2 years of physical, not really so much physical, it was more of occupational. So occupational therapy at Balboa in San Diego. And it was a lot of working on speech, balance, and then memory issues. And that's basically what I was doing for like, almost 2 years. And then they cleared me off of limited duty, but I was still going to appointments and stuff like that. And then, my end of service was coming up, and then I eventually just kind of convinced the doctors. I'm like, look, my time's coming up. Like, I need to make a decision. Can you guys let me off? Like, what's going on? Like, what? It was just kind of like, what do I need to do to like convince you guys? It wasn't really convince you guys. It's just more of like, can I go back? And when I first got injured, I did notice something on my piece of paper, like my medical chart. It was just like a danger to himself and to others. Like that's kind of like that's a
That's a
big red
big
flag.
deal.
Yeah. So I think that that was probably one of the reasons why they sent me to launch school after I initially got injured. But that's they probably felt that I was no longer a danger to myself and others, and that's probably one of the reasons why they released me off of like limited duty and everything like that. But then, as you guys know, it's kind of like that whole process of walking your happy butt to S1, be like, "Hi, my name's Corporal Peck. I would like to re-enlist. Here's my paper. Please sign it." And then walking over to the battalion sergeant major who you've never met before. "Hello, Sergeant Major. I'm Corporal Peck. Sign my piece of paper." It's basically a whole bunch of that. That's really what it was. And that's really, that's really all it was just a whole bunch of,
Sign my piece of paper.
yeah. Once I was cleared off of like limited duty, it was just, it was just a whole bunch of that.
So you basically just did the legwork. You
Yeah,
did your
there was some pushback from my immediate command. Like, I can't remember if he was lieutenant or captain. He wasn't really too happy. He was like, I really don't know much about you, but like, I can't remember his words exactly, but he's like, I don't remember too much about you, but like, all I know is that you've been on limited duty for like the last year and a half. Why should I sign your reenlistment papers? And I'm like,
Sign my piece of paper.
I don't know.
don't
Like,
ask me crazy questions. Just sign the paper.
I'm a corporal. You are running out of NCOs. Like, I don't know. Piece of paper. Fine. Yeah.
You could even look away and sign it and pretend like you didn't.
Like, and I'm like, please.
Like, hey, I was just going to occupational therapy. Just sign my piece of paper. Thank you and goodbye.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of what it was. It was just, it was just a whole bunch of like, once the limited duty was up, it was just kind of like going around, and that was basically it. Nothing too much, or it wasn't too much fun. Sorry.
It's okay. The internet, like everything, made it seem like you had to fight the whole military to like be able to go and re-enlist.
Yep. Tooth and nail.
The internet, they over dramatize as per usual.
Yep. Of course. Yeah.
Because Connie had to do her research on you, and so she went and looked. And
I do my research for every episode. Thank you.
Yes,
now,
we
let's
do.
not, first off, let's not lie. It was Rihanna stalking me again.
Yes.
Oh my
God. 100%. That's all she does with her time. She's like, let me just go stalk some people.
Most people just call that good friendship. But I mean, if you want to hate on me, okay.
All right. What's going on in this room behind you, by the way? Is that like a body bag? Like, what is this back of your right shoulder?
It's a tent. I'm in my son's room. That's his tent.
He's judging you. That's what that looks like.
I'm totally judging.
Okay. He's my board member for a reason. It's okay.
Totally judging.
He's judging his board member. It's fine.
And it looks like you're sitting on the ground
No, I'm at a desk.
for a 2-year-old.
I'm at a
Yes.
desk. Oh my goodness. Connie, next
No.
question.
Rietta, I already asked my question.
Yeah.
Your question, lady. This is an interview. It's supposed to flow naturally, Rietta. Not next question.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So I guess I don't know. It's kind of a silly question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Since you fought so hard to re-enlist and go back, do you ever regret going back? Of course.
What?
Nothing.
No. Nah, not really. There's only been a few times, and it's only because there's been something else going on in my life that has kind of had an outside factor to it. There's only been a few times that I've kind of been like, I wish that I could go back and change it, but not the re-enlistment. No, because that would still put me. Sorry, now you've got me thinking about time travel, which kind of puts me in the same conundrum. Ow. Yeah, so the only thing that I could change is re-enlistment. But then if I didn't re-enlist, they would still be in that same position, which means somebody else would have gotten injured. Now,
Oh, see, that's a good way to think of it. You know, you're not just thinking of yourself, you're thinking, well, if I didn't get injured, then somebody else would have.
no, because if it wasn't me, then somebody else would have gotten injured. And I know for a fact the other dude with the minesweeper wouldn't have survived the IED, because me and my aide were actually talking about this earlier today. He actually asked me for the first time. He's been with me for a month. He actually asked me what happened. And I explained to him, like, because of my size and because my height, my muscle mass, it most likely what saved me. And I explained to him, like, you take 5 pounds of fat out of a human body and you take 5 pounds of muscle, and you'll see the size difference. And you can tell, like, 5 pounds of mass or 5 pounds of fat compared to 5 pounds of muscle, the mass is going to be different. The size is going to be different.
Yeah,
I'm
the
pretty
density
sure-
is different.
Yeah, and everything's going to be different. Like, that's probably what saved me, is the fact that I was, like, in shape is what saved me. And the other guy that was doing the metal detecting, if he stepped in that spot, he wouldn't have survived. And he actually had survivor's guilt. Not survivor's guilt, but he felt something like that.
Yeah,
So
because
no.
you got so hurt and he didn't.
Yeah. So no, I don't regret it. I mean, it sucks, especially on snow days when, they don't plow the street and shit. I'm sitting here with, I won't say any male genitals in my hand or anything like that. But, like, I mean, it
But you get
sucks
the picture.
when shit like that is happening, because it's kind of like, well, here I am in a wheelchair. It's not like I can just, pick my foot up and stomp over the snow or like, something like that. I mean, I do have bad days when that kind of shit happens, but
Move to a warmer climate.
no.
Where there's no.
No, that's even worse, because us amputees, so our blood has less room to travel, so we stay warm before it heads back to our heart. So we don't do
So warm weather would be worse.
No,
or at least you'd be hot anyway.
No, we do bad in heat. We do really bad.
That's
actually
can't
really
win.
fascinating. Yeah, that's actually really fascinating. So you actually see there is a positive. You stay warmer.
Hi. Hello.
Yeah, I'm right now. It's like 30 degrees, and I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt, and people are looking at me in New Jersey, and they're like, "What the fuck is he smoking?" Like, what's up? Everyone's like bundled up with like hats and scarves and all their masks, like actual like masks.
Sorry.
And everyone's like, "Where's your double mask?" I'm like, "Not wearing one."
That's what the answer was. The answer was
Like, hear me, mine.
Fucking psychos.
Be like, no, I'm gonna tell him this. Be like, I have a medical issue. What's your medical issue? My hands don't work. Just be like, no, no. People look at me weird already because I'm like rolling around with a shirt with basketball shorts on.
And that's fine.
Yeah,
You do you.
you do you,
Exactly.
boo.
Yeah, exactly. It's my
Yeah.
favorite saying. Sorry.
It is her favorite saying.
No.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But no, I don't regret it. I'd do it again.
Wow. That's awesome. Because, like, I don't know a lot of people who have suffered so much who would be like, oh, if I could go back, I would. That's what most people who have any sort of like trauma would be like, no, I'd go back. So that's really like good positive thinking, I guess. I don't know what I'm thinking now. It's fine. Now there are just words coming out of my mouth.
Mouth vomit.
Yep, basically. That's
You know
how I
what's up?
started a podcast. And here
It'd be
we
great, though.
are.
It'd be great though if I had some like cybernetic legs. I wish. It'd be great. Elon Musk, Papa Musk, where are you? Give me some goddamn cybernetic legs.
That or
Come
you just
on.
need
One
to
day.
like that or you just need to like pop into Archer temporarily and have like Krieger set you up and then just pop back out.
Right? God damn it. I'm tired of driving around in this damn minivan. Oh.
Tell us how you really feel.
Getting all these soccer moms looking at me like I'm like some like snack that they can munch on. Be like, no. I do not want to be driving this. No.
That's great imagery. I love it. Soccer moms that are going to go snack on you.
Be like, you see this? This is a handicap placard. You see this?
Oh,
I'm
they
going-
see you. They're going to go and snack on you.
I'm only driving this because it's got that stupid ramp. Think I want to be driving this shit? No, I don't. No,
Hey, you
I
never
won't.
know. Maybe Musk will make it a handicap accessible, like super cool Tesla.
Yeah, I tried
You never
tweeting
know.
him. My very and only tweet was, Elon Musk, please create a handicap accessible Tesla.
Please.
That's
No response, huh?
No response. Yeah.
No
clearly.
response. Actually, wait, was it? Was it on Twitter? I don't know. Maybe it was. I don't know. I did it on one of those. Facebook. I don't know. I can't remember. It was a
Well,
long time ago.
here it is. We're putting it back out in the universe again. Not that he will ever listen to our podcast, but Elon Musk, if you are listening,
Hey, you don't know. Don't limit our podcast like that.
Yeah.
Maybe he
Come on.
will listen. You don't know.
so it's out in the universe again. He might hear it on our podcast and be like, "Oh,
Exactly.
I got you, Sergeant John Peck."
I mean, he's
Send one to
working
your
with
house.
Microsoft to freaking come up with the Halo Warthog truck. Like,
Why?
come on. No, it's from a video game.
Yes,
I know.
I
That's why I
mean-
asked the question, but why?
Exactly.
because it's gonna sell. Because they know it's gonna
Mm.
sell.
His truck didn't sell.
Oh my
it
God. that
didn't?
truck was ugly as all get out.
I don't think I
It
ever saw it.
was.
I never saw
Right?
it, so I have no comment.
It,
Mm.
you-
It looked like you took a sports car and then put a truck bed on it, but a really shitty looking sports car.
your son could draw a better truck.
Yes.
Okay, good to know.
Anyone could draw a better truck.
Good to know.
What are you playing with?
Who? Me? No, I'm looking at my dog. He's scratching at my desk and I don't know why. He's really cute. He's down here. That's why I had to go and open the doors because he was whining at the door. And I'm like, he needs to stop whining. And all he wanted to do was come in here and then lay down at my feet. So,
Oh my
whatever.
god, I'm dying.
Your dog's
Connie,
gonna be idiot.
do you have any more
Sorry.
questions?
He's gonna be idiot.
Before we wrap it up,
Hey.
before I plug his book one more time, and then we do the ending.
Dogs
God,
are
it's the end of
awesome. Okay, you can see the dog after. I will show you the dog. Oh wait, the dog's right here. Flynn, say hello,
Aw.
Flynn. You're so cute. Okay.
He's like, oh
sorry.
my God.
Oh, I should bring him up here and have him pretend to be a podcast host. So, okay, what one last question. This is a hard hitter, right?
Uh,
So, what got you through the darkest hours of your life?
what?
What got you like through the darkest hours? What helped you go to the upswing and start feeling better? I don't know. You know what I mean?
What
You don't
got
know
you
what I mean.
from not wanting to throw yourself down a set of stairs anymore?
Yes, exactly. See, Rietta's
Lots.
better at this than me.
Lots and lots of meth. I don't. Wait, what?
Don't lie.
No.
believe you.
So I had a nurse. He was kind of a big nerd, and so at this time, I think Walking Dead was like on its second season or something like this. This is gonna sound really stupid. He
The
told me I should
Walking
watch.
Dead got
Yeah.
you through this. I love it.
Nah, so he was like, you know what, dude, like you don't have any visitors. And I was like, oh, well, that's fucking great. Like, cool, dude.
Thanks.
He's like, no, he was being serious. He's like, you don't have any visitors. You're not really doing anything. Like, you're going down to the Matsy where like to work out. That's where us cripples go. He's like, you should watch this. Like, it's a really good show. And he's like, you could kind of relate to it though. He's like, this dude Rick is, I forget how you say this word. I can almost smell it. The protagonist. Yeah, I did.
Yes.
Great. High five, John. High five. Yes, I just hit myself in the head with my own hand. I don't care. The protagonist, Rick, wakes up in the hospital. He thinks his wife and kid are all dead, and what the hell's going on with the world? These people are eating each other. Blah blah. We all know. Zombies taking over. All hope dead. Whatever. Dude wants to kill himself. Blah blah blah. Whatever. And he's like, maybe it's a good show for you to watch. I'm like, this is great. And anyway, so I start watching this show and everything. I'm not like drawing conclusions or anything. Drawing lines between myself and Rick and everything like that. I'm just like, you know what? Like, I think at this point I was like trying to like grasp at straws. Like, I don't think like I think like I was really trying to grasp at straws. And it kind of like broke like a very, very, very small crack into like my like plan. And then from there, like one day, like I'm sitting, I think on the 5th floor where my room was, and I'm looking out the window and I see like this triple amputee, and where the hospital was, it was like on a main street. And I'm like, oh, he gets up from the bench and he starts walking towards the main street. And of course, super dark John's like, oh, this dude's gonna go throw himself in the street, right? Like super dark John. Nope. He starts walking, and then this little girl comes up and grabs his hand. I'm like, oh, that's sweet. And then his wife or girlfriend grabs his other hand, or his nub, whatever. And I'm like, you know what? Screw this shit. This guy can get a family, if he's a triple amputee. And I was like, I can do that too. I was like, so what? Dude has a hand. That's cool. Whatever. Hands aren't everything. And from there, like before all this, I wouldn't really talk to anybody. I wouldn't talk to any of the nurses. They would come in and say, how's your day going? I'm going, roar, roar, roar. Just kind of grumble at them.
Typical. Yeah.
Yeah. And if any psychologist or psychiatrist came in, I'd immediately scream at them, be like, get the fuck out of my room. Like I still to this day hate any psychologist or psychiatrist. But yeah, after that, I think I kind of changed, and I kind of like started to like open up, and I started to talk to everybody. And like anybody that was like willing to listen, I just kind of started to inquire about their day, and just kind of like, just started to be like the next day I went to my physical therapy appointment, and just the very first time I was just like, how's your day going?
my therapist was like,
Who are you?
the fuck? And yeah, from there I just kind of like started like opening up a little bit more, just kind of like started, little tiny cracks into my plan, just started to like kind of like break down my guard and everything like that. And I started to kind of like come out a little bit more and like start to crack jokes. And people are like a little surprised because they're like, wait, so underneath like your mean like personality, you went from like basically screaming at people, like telling people get the fuck out of your room, like telling people that you're gonna like throw yourself down the flight of stairs, to you turned into this person that's like cracking jokes about your legless like nubs and like all this stupid shit that you do half the time. Like at one point I like stole a lab jacket and an ID badge, and I think I went to the gyno clinic and told a female I'm there for her exam or something like that.
That's
Oh
hilarious.
my God, I would have laughed my ass off if I was that girl.
Yeah, they don't find it funny
Oh,
at the
come
gyno.
on.
Well,
No
the
fun.
female did, but the nurses on the gyno
Did
clinic
not
did
feel
not.
like it was funny.
No.
Mm.
But
Do you
yeah,
have
so
medical professionals?
yeah. But yeah, so it was I think it was just basically just like all these little things that kind of led up to it, and it's just, but like I said though, it hasn't always been like sunshine, rainbows, and unicorn poop and all that shit. Like I mean, there have been dark days, and there still are. I mean, even to this day, like, I mean, I do have dark days still, and it's just there are times where I'm just kind of like, what the hell am I doing? That's why even when I talk to Rhea, I'm like, what the fuck is going on with this foundation? So I'm like, Rieta, what are we doing? Like, come on, let's open. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, Rieta, let's go.
And I love your enthusiasm. And actually, you're one of the reasons that like I haven't given up, because I've had my moments with the foundation and I'm like, why is this not happening fast enough? Like maybe I'm not meant to do this. I'm just fuck it. I'm done. And then like John will text me and be like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, okay, he's one of the reasons I'm doing this. I am not quitting until this motherfucker is going.
Do you guys actually want to talk a little bit about the foundation, since you've brought it up a couple of times and some of our listeners might not know?
Well, we haven't like, it's not ready yet, but I mean, why
It's
not?
getting there though.
It's just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. John's
That's
making
what
funny faces.
That's what we all have to do.
It's basically, it is going to be a nonprofit dedicated to basically veterans and their family. Because when John and I talked, he told me about a lot of holes that were in the system that really need to be fixed. And one of my biggest desires is, being a part of this military community for over 11 years now. We've lost a lot of friends to suicide, and and I know John feels the same way. We don't want to see it anymore. So we're taking a step to create a community where veterans can reconnect and restore that camaraderie, and hopefully it'll help combat the suicide rates. And then we're just going to offer more support to the families. John's got a brilliant idea of connecting vets with troubled youth. So I mean, we've got a lot of amazing programs that are going to be offered that we hope will help fill in the gaps where stuff is lacking. And John, whatever you want to add to that, because I'm not always the most gracious.
So yeah, like Rieta said, like one of the things that we also believe in is like when you leave the military, you've always had a very structured life. It's always been be here at this time, do this. It's always been like that. It's always like this is what you're supposed to do at this time. Eat shit, go shoot at this. You're done. All right. And when you leave the military, you no longer have that structure. You kind of lose your purpose. I mean, and then those are the guys who fall through the cracks. That's kind of the problem. And then those are the guys that fall through the cracks and they don't really know what they're doing. And either they fail to adapt, and then those are usually the ones who unfortunately end up pulling the trigger, stepping off the ledge or whatnot.
Throwing yourself down 5 flights of stairs.
Yeah.
Thank goodness that didn't happen, or else we wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I was growing up, I was part of what was it? The Little Brother program.
Oh yeah.
Big Brothers.
Yeah, Big Brother
Brothers.
program.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah. So like I live in New Jersey right now, and like so one of the thing is like every year I help like families with like Christmas gifts, and it's always like families that are struggling. I mean, this year it kind of broke my heart because like I got a list from a father, not a father, but an actual like priest father, and he gave me a list, and it was ridiculous. Not ridiculous as in like the amount of people. It was ridiculous as in like not the amount of people. It wasn't ridiculous as the gifts. It was ridiculous because the gifts were so humble. What I mean by
Aw.
that, they were very like they just wanted hats and scarves. Like a lot of them just want hats and scarves. I'm like, I'm not doing that. So I remember growing up with like the Big Brother program, and like here in New Jersey, like this would be the perfect spot to kind of like help with this. So we could start it here or start it, you know, somewhere that we could find, and we would have to go like kind of to the police department, somewhere like that, where we can reach out to these kids that are, you know, um, sorry, my phone just did a notification. Oh, gaming stuff. At-risk teens, because at one point I was at risk, not at risk, but like I was in juvenile delinquent center and blah blah blah. Did stupid shit when I was young too. So much troubled. So basically, we were thinking that we can, you know, say we have a guy who has a passion for. Let's just use me as an example. We have a guy has a passion for cooking. We could kind of team him up with a kid who's possibly thinking about doing a culinary degree or something like that. Kind of team them up with something like that. Using the nonprofit, we can fund them like maybe a culinary class at like Sur La Table, or like a teaching like a some kind of class or something like that. And it kind of gives it not only gives that military person a purpose, but it also gives that troubled teen kind of like some guidance. It also helps that troubled teen, like, hey, you know, gives them somebody to look up to, a positive influence. So there's like different things that we have to do and different things that we have to also implement to make sure like the military person that we line them up with is, you know, an upstanding person, that they're not going to be doing anything that they shouldn't be doing, if that makes sense.
With a teen, yeah, who's already
Well,
at risk for sure.
yeah, like we don't want like I mean, you're not gonna believe this, but there was a double amputee who was supposed to get a house, and we all have to, you know, these home building foundations, but like he was supposed to get a house, and each one of us go through like a background search, and they went through his background. Come to find out, he had multiple arrests for penetrating a youth with a foreign object.
Oof.
And like,
Oh,
yeah, and they're like, no. So these are things that
sorry,
we
can't do this now.
yeah. So these are things that we need to like implement. We also don't
Yeah.
want to have like somebody who's just all of a sudden gonna flip on a kid the minute that they're having like
An
a
issue.
bad day, or like they're having like I want this kid to be like, hey man, I'm having a bad day, like can you call me, like can I call you up and talk to you about it or something like that.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
So we're Battle Buds. That's the name of our organization.
Oh,
And
I like it.
John's offshoot. John has a great name for the offshoot of what he was just talking about. What was the name of it?
The look on his face says, sorry, I totally forgot that I had a great idea.
Operation Mentor Vets. I cannot remember. I would have to look at the logo that was designed now.
Oh my god.
Why don't you look at the website that you designed, Rieta?
Yeah, Rieta.
Well, the new
Just kidding.
website doesn't have it on there, and the old website doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, snap.
Hold on, I think I have the image though because you emailed it to me. Operation Veteran Mentor.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
You were close.
Snappy. Yeah, you were close.
Wah.
So, this is how to deal when shit gets real. Check us out on all the social medias and stuff. We'll be posting little clips on YouTube now, and new episodes every Friday. Have a
And
good day, everybody.
And don't forget to buy John's book, Rebuilding Sergeant Peck. It is an
A
amazing
porno
read.
guide.
Oh, wow.
Hey, that might make people want it even more. So, make
Maybe.
sure you check it out.
Maybe.
And thanks, guys, for listening.